Back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Greg Soldourian, the head football coach at Plymouth High School. How are you, Greg?
Good. Thanks for having me, Casey.
So let's talk about the summer, how things went for you, and we kind of go through this. You can condition, you can do all these different things. You just can't do football related activities this week.
This is the first year since I've been the head coach. We're giving the kids this week off. Um, the only thing we have going on is we have a mom's clinic tonight. And I have some other we have KLA media day, but like other than that, I give our kids off, get them out of here. Um, wanted to give them the break and let them get excited about the 11th. But yeah, this summer is, I mean, it was a whirlwind. I mean, we get out of school, so we get out of school later than a lot of the other schools in our conference. So I mean, we got off on a Wednesday. We did 2 days of youth camp, and then the next week we're in it. So and then up till the 4th of July and the shutdown week there. So I mean, we hammered. We did a lot in a short period of time, but kids reacted well to it, and we'll see where it takes us.
Absolutely. So what's the outlook this year for the Plymouth Wildcats for 2025?
I say this to our kids, like we have a lot of great teams in our conference, but like I feel like at any time, like because there's such parity in our conference, there's no team like on our side of the KLA where I'm like, wow, they're a cut above the rest. We're all kind of fighting and jostling for spots. Last year we competed. When we went out to Livingston and had good games out there. You look at some of those games we lost out there. We lost. We went for two and lost to Brighton. How we had a chance to go up 14-0 early in that game, and didn't score from 6 inches out. And my old adage is if you can't score from 6 inches out, you don't deserve to win. And then they made some big plays on us, in the passing game, which we were surprised by. And then just kind of grinded us down as the game went on. And then so I think at any given time, I feel like we've gotten better every year. And those you learn as a coach and you learn as players in those close situations. So I think that it'll prepare us for the fray this year. But yeah, we lost a lot of dudes. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. I lost three guys that are going on, or four guys that are going to go on to play at the next level this past year. So it's always, it is what it is. But like replacing you got different athletes coming through. I don't have a Logan Pfeiffer. I don't have a Cam Short this year, but you know, the kids we do have been working their tails off. This group is actually stronger than last year's group. So we'll see if that you know at the end of the day uh, shows up in the win column for us.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about some of the kids that are going to be returning and some of the names to watch for your team this year.
Max Hornbacher's a 3-year varsity guy. He So last year he started outside linebacker for us, played some tight end. This year he'll be a tight end and outside linebacker again. He's returning. He's gone on some college visits in the GLIAC. Went out to Yale to a camp. He got invited out to Yale, so he's a smart kid. Like he's the guy that like I would say he's the Bill Lambier of our basketball team. He does all the gritty, nasty stuff. So he's the same way on the football field. He's not afraid to put in the work. Returning a couple DBs from last year, and Samir Sane and Caden Moore at the corner spots. Started every game, both of them. Caden is only a junior, um, so he's even gotten better and he's got bigger, and both kids have gotten bigger and stronger. Returning one of our safeties from last year, Joel Dewberry, um, and then defensive line wise, we're returning a couple guys too. So that'll help in the aspect of our defensive line. We can get that experience will help us, you know. And then on offense, we're returning the one running back, the sober kid who was with us last year, who got some playing time because Nick DeKier got hurt.
Yeah,
So, offensively, we're replacing a lot more guys than defensively. And then we're replacing our kicker, which our kicker the last 2 years, Daniel Vigo, didn't miss an extra point, was, hit a 47 yarder his last game as a senior, and his punt average was 40.0 on the dot. So not very many high school kids who were averaging that for their punt. So like, those are, some guys that will miss, but we're looking at some younger guys to step up, and that's the way it works, man. Right? Like the seniors leave, you got to replace and reload and just coach them up. So
absolutely. All right. I know we got to talk about some of the kids. Now let's talk about the schedule. Schedule and a bunch of teams I'm really familiar with. August 28th, you'll be at Monroe to open the season. September 5th, you'll be at week 2 at Northville. September 12th, home against Heartland. September 19th, home against Howell. September 26th at Novi. October 3rd, home against Brighton. October 10th at Canton. At, October 17th, home against Salem. Back-to-back park games to finish out the conference season. And then, of course, the last week of the regular season will be the crossover game with the East Division. So, which the East teams will be hosting in 2025. So, pretty good schedule as always. Everybody knows how tough this division is. What's it going to be like this year? And especially, with back-to-back back-to-back park games to end out the conference season, and you do not have to go to Livingston County this year.
yeah, so we open up with Monroe, which that's where my main focus is right now. I'm not worried about down the road,
Absolutely.
obviously, but and who knows, rumors, going around that potentially Monroe could be part of our conference years
Yeah.
to come.
Yeah.
Who knows, right? But the aspect of like playing a different team, like our conference is as a whole in that week one is not fared the best the last 2 years. So hopefully we're all changing that this year, for all of us. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that challenge. I think that's a good matchup for us. Northville's Northville. We're going to their place week 2. Coach Luplow does a great job over there. They had a lot of young guys playing last year, so I feel like they should be pretty good again. As you go through then we got back to backs against Livingston County schools. We got Heartland coming down to us, Howell, which as of right now we're supposed to play in the new stadium that's on the north side of campus.
Yep.
We'll see if that sticks because I think it's silly for us to walk 15 minutes across campus. And I have a 5-minute walk to our stadium right over here, but sometimes the power bees tell me what I got to do, and I got to do it.
Yep.
So, Heartland will be an interesting one. They're returning a lot of kids, I feel like, but they got new staff. So, I don't know who's staying and who's going. So that's always interesting when you get new staffs. But a familiar face in the KLA and Aaron. And then, Coach Lewis does a great job out in Howell. They're returning some kids, but they graduated a lot of great kids. So that's always, repeating that magic of a year before is always interesting. Because got similar when he left Plymouth, like repeating that magic. Well, we had a global pandemic. So like that aspect of not having an off season that year, I think would have helped, but you never know, right? And then, we've got Novi's Novi. They're gonna sling it on you, and Jim does a great job over there, and I respect the heck out of them. And we're at their place. Probably gonna be a homecoming game, I'm guessing, just because that's the way it seems like it goes for us. When we go over there, and then we host Brighton, which is gonna be a homecoming game for us. And we're gonna. So it's been 20 years since the first full varsity football team at Plymouth High School. So we're going to honor those kids that night on the 2005 team at 2006 graduates. So I'm excited to see some of those guys because that's when I first got here as a young, spry young man, back at age 25. And yes, I had hair then, so well before I had my own children. So looking forward to that. Coach Lemons always does a good job. I feel like no matter how Brighton's going, their season's going, they always give us their best game, which I go, can you just give somebody else your best game? It's kind of our running joke. And then obviously the Park schools back to back, that's going to be, I mean, emotions, right? Emotional, right? So you got to think, we've never done that. Salem has done that, but we've never done that. So like those high emotions of like if you win the first one, can you keep that going into the second game? Or, you lose that first one, what's your mindset like, right? So I think like anything, we're gonna compete and see what happens. I truly believe like anything, like we have a tough conference, but like at the end of the day, like there's no team in our conference. So I'm like, man, I don't know if we can beat them, in my mind. But they're respect all and see where the cards lay at the end of the day. I think, everybody in our conference does a great job coaching up their kids. And everybody's got well developed programs. And so, it's all about riding, getting the kids motivated to play and making the most out of every opportunity. And it's the last year with the Livonia schools on the other side. So like when you get to that crossover, if you get one of those Livonia schools, that might be the last time you ever play them.
Right.
You just don't know unless 'cause we definitely won't see Churchill
Franklin.
or Franklin ever in a playoff game unless we shrink an exorbitant amount of students. Maybe if you make the playoffs, you may see Livonia Stevenson, but the ask, or if you decide to play them a week one, but like I won't play a Division 2 or three team in week one because it doesn't help us being a Division 1 school.
Right.
That was our big thing this year for us was, we played Traverse City the last 2 years, and like if we would have won those games, it would have helped us a little bit. But unless those Division 2 teams are winning a ton of games, unless they're winning like 6 games, it really doesn't help as a Division 1 team, And so, like, prime example, week 9, 2023, we beat Churchill, who had a decent record that year, but we needed, if we would have played a Division 1 team week 9, we would have made the playoffs as a 4-5 team. Now we're playing all Division 1 teams. Where if we win the right games and get the right bonus points, heck, we could make the playoffs as a 4-5 team. And like last year, we as a 4-5 team, if we would have won one of those 1 point games we lost, we make the playoffs. So like we're right on the cusp, and the goal never changes. Here at Plymouth, compete in the KLA and try to win the West. That's kind of always a goal, and then make the playoffs. And we've been falling short the last few years, and it hasn't like. But we're competing though, and that's what I'm most proud of. And we're sending kids off to college, right? We've got I mean, heck, we've sent I don't know four kids off to Division 1 schools, I think, or three, and then we've had probably like 6 others go off to play Division 2 or Division 3. So like, we just had one kid transfer out of Albion. He went to Arkansas State for a little bit, and then now he's at Tennessee Chattanooga. So
Awesome.
he only played 1 year of football, so that's probably why he's is where he is.
So,
But yeah, so it's we're excited.
yeah. All right. Well, Greg, thank you so much for the time as always, and best of luck to the Wildcats this season.
Appreciate you, Casey. Thanks for having me.